Welcome to Pet Cetera. Today my guest is Kelly Blackledge, and she is the coordinator of the Detroit Lakes Festival of Birds, as well as working with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And also our guest here is Spot, and he's available from the humane side of the lakes. And he's here to help us talk about the effect of outdoor cats on birds and other wildlife.
That's right. Yeah, cats can have a pretty big impact on many of our bird species. They are an invasive species in our outdoor environment in the ecosystem. Cats are, weren't, there was actually a wild cat. They're domesticated from a wild species, Felis sylvestris, thus the cartoon name, and have now our domestic cats are actually a totally different species from that wild cat, and that is Felis catus. So, yes.
Of which Spot is.
Yes, yes. That's right. But they can, it's been 200 years or so ago that cats came to the United States, and they have been indoor and outdoor cats for many, many years. And it's the outdoor cats that, of course, have an impact on our wild animals. There are a lot of cats that are left outside and left abandoned in many cases. In fact, many cats, there are so many cats that they can have a tremendous impact on the wildlife because they are excellent predators.
Yes.
Very good predators. But they do take up a lot of habitat, or a lot of the habitat, because there are so many. In fact, some studies have shown that there are somewhere in the neighborhood of over 100 cats per square mile, whereas normally, if you consider all the predators in one area, whether it be skunks, raccoons, bobcats, all of these predators, there may only be about 9 in an acre.
So that's a huge
impact. Yeah, unnatural impact to our wildlife. And they don't just eat birds, they also, in fact, primarily feed on many small mammals as well. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 70% of what they eat are small mammals, and then a little more than 20% is usually the birds, and then the other animals that they eat are amphibians and reptiles and things like that.
So even if they've got an adequate food supply, they still have a drive to hunt.
They do. Very strong drive to continue to hunt. And they are different from our native predators like fox and raccoons and things, in that they're a people animal, and we keep them well fed and healthy. Often they're treated for disease, whereas our native predators are not, and so those populations will fluctuate because of that. They have generally a dependable supply of food, and so they're also very healthy for that matter. The cats, whereas wild animals, their populations may fluctuate depending on the amount of prey available. If the prey populations go down, those predator populations will probably decrease as well. And then another one is that they're not typically limited by territory. They can be pretty flexible in their territory, whereas our native predators have very strict territories in many cases.
Cats will roam.
Right, so, and cats will roam. They're not affected by that. So a lot of differences in terms of our native predators and these domestic cats, and how well they can survive. It's pretty amazing.
And if they're not spayed or neutered, we get lots
very
and lots more.
Prolific.
So,
Yes.
I've been surprised at the quantity that how much they've grown, and how many millions we have in the U.S. between just the 70s and now. It's tremendous.
In 1970, the census counted about 30 million cats in the United States. And then by 1990, it was 60 million, and now they estimate over 100 million. And those are only the cats that people count as owned pets. These don't even come close to counting the number of cats that are free-ranging cats. They expect a lot more than that. In fact, just in Wisconsin, they estimated that there were in just the state alone, there are probably 2 million cats just in that one state.
That is amazing.
So pretty big impact, and they have impact on many of our songbirds, like this bluebird here, and other birds that we see at our feeders, as well as some of our shorebirds, some species that are declining. You know, in our prairie areas, we have many of our native bird species are in decline, and a lot of them have, well, for example, the piping plover is one species that is endangered, and cats have had a big impact on those. Least terns, loggerhead shrikes, all kinds of.
So it's clear that cats have a big impact on wildlife. So it's a good reason to keep your cat indoors.
Keeping your cat indoors.
Yep. Well, I want to thank you, Kelly, for joining me today.
Glad to be here. Thank you.